What is up, down, and sideways, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to League Unlock. Eric and Mark hanging out with you lovely people today as we continue to monitor, pay very close attention to the LCK playoff race. It is week 9, the penultimate week of the regular season, and for these 7 playoff hopefuls, you know every game is even more important now.
Yeah, this is really a wonderful time here to be a fan of League of Legends. Watching the LCK, looking at this playoff race, this is what it's all about, what you want to be seeing here. And hey, we got a real treat today because not only are you getting a couple of these teams, it's all the teams that are in this playoff race. All 4 of them really need to get these wins, so every match matters today.
And let's start with that Griffin Gen.G matchup. You remember it is a 4-game win streak and 2-game series streak for Gen.G against Griffin, and both times that they beat them here in summer and back in spring, they kind of started the unraveling of Griffin.
Right, we did see that in spring, that it was the Gen.G victory that kind of kicked things off here for a little bit of a slump for Griffin as they headed towards the end of spring, and hey, we're seeing it again here. It was that Gen.G loss kicking it off in summer, and man, if they lose again here to this Gen.G squad at this point in time here, could be crucial in that race to playoffs.
Huge game for both of these squads, and in game 1 it's the rosters you're accustomed to seeing. Doran gets the start again for Griffin, and Fly on the Lissandra in the mid lane. She did get buffed recently, and it's Peanut in the bottom lane actually doing something early on the Sejuani.
Hey, this has been something that we have been seeing for the past couple of weeks here with Gen.G. As they've been strong, it has been Peanut's play stepping up big time.
Oh, Cuvée face checked.
That's not stepping up big time.
And this was such a slow-paced game. All you got to look at is the CS numbers between Chovy and Fly. He was flame horizoning the Lissandra with that Jace mid pick. He was getting, I mean, look at this gold lead for Griffin without even needing many kills. Finally, they get to the Baron, and Gen.G says, let's contest, guys. Oh, it's dead. Fly, nope, he didn't even ult.
Yeah, that's one of those tough times there where you're trying to make that call to go in there and say, hey guys, we gotta contest this. Maybe you're not looking exactly at your screen at that right moment, because then you realize, wait a minute, it's gone and I'm gone as well.
And that was a nice flash from Viper to avoid the feathers. And check, this is how fed they are. Okay, 1 W from Kai'Sa, a shock blast, another W on Ruler. Oh, he's dead.
Goodbye.
3 abilities from across the map. Oh, 5 dragons and a Baron for Griffin. I think I'm getting up from my chair if I'm Ruler at that point. I don't want to, get me out of this game. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, this is absolutely one of those ones where you ask yourself, man, is it really worth it? Am I, I understand that don't always surrender every game, but sometimes there really isn't anything to gain from here. And at that point, this one was over. Griffin taking the first match.
It did take a long time for Griffin to close that out. They needed a couple of Barons, but we go into game 2, and look who's making his professional League of Legends debut. It is Rich, the former greatest Heroes of the Storm player of all time, making his LCK debut, and Griffin give him a nice warm welcome.
Oh, that is just one wonderful welcome here to League of Legends. That looks like everyone else's welcome to League of Legends. Just welcoming you in and just saying, hey, you like playing this game in color? Let's just take that away and give you the gray screen.
Yeah, there was a couple of kills that went against him early on in that Aatrox-Renekton matchup, which of course everyone familiar with nowadays. But the Gen.G did have control around the map despite the early deficits there for Rich, and then they're battling around the Baron. They got 4 dragons, a mountain, and an infernal here, but Griffin is here to contest. Lahen's on the support volley bear is popping over, and this is a fight on 2 different fronts. The Baron does go over to Gen.G. They lose a couple of members, but they hand back 3, so overall, big win for them.
Still gotta take it if you're a Gen.G. You like to see that one, and there's Rich getting a little bit of that revenge, saying, hey, you guys had a little bit of fun with me in the beginning here, but I'm here to finally put down some damage, and let's go on here. Let's try and push here for another game.
Yeah, his team carries him in the early game because he was getting heavily focused, but he does rebound in that late game. Gen.G actually show up in a solid way in the second half of the game, And they eventually, I promise you, do take down the Nexus here to tie this series at 1. Rich gets his first win in his first ever competitive League of Legends game.
Hey man, and this feels extra sweet to watch here, seeing Activision's latest kind of information call here and how they almost have zero plans for Heroes of the Storm.
The plan was shut it down.
Yeah, feels pretty nice that Rich is able to come into League of Legends here and get a win for Gen.G.
And he's going for his second win in a row into Game 3, but Peanut has other ideas. He wants to go back to his red buff with no flash, and Griffin are waiting for him. Yes, that is first blood over to the Kaisa, and the red buff does go over to Tarzan on that Olaf. Not the ideal start.
No, that is not the start you want. That's one of those situations there where you kind of have to tell yourself, oh, as much as I really want this, they're not going to give it to me. No chance. Bot lane, though, Gen.G.
Support Sejuani.
Gotta love Ruler doing the damage and making sure that he gets that advantage back for himself.
This is pretty slick of Viper to actually survive here, because Ruler is going deep for that kill, but Viper does dodge a couple of abilities. The support Sejuani doesn't work out well there, and here's Rich getting dove bottom lane. This time the support Sejuani works out quite well. This dive goes on for an eternity, it feels like. Chovy grabs the Skarner ulti, just kill the turret, Griffin. It's at such low health. They wait for the minions to come back. The Gen.G, Peanut and Life are just left here screaming, help, but everyone's dead.
It's one of those situations where you're left in the bottom lane, all you're pinging is assist, need some help here.
Cuvee got a kill though.
Yep, that's not going to make you feel much better about what went on in the bottom side, but you're right, it was a masterful job of managing that turret aggro there by Griffin.
And it ends up being a 4-for-1, and then as Doran gets caught out, here comes the Olaf, Ragnarok in his way through, and the rest of Griffin come over to finish off Peanut as well. Tarzan tries to steal the kill, but it doesn't happen. And then here's a nice engage onto Ruler. Life saves him, pops the QSS and the Zanyas, and it still doesn't matter because, again, Rich goes a little bit too far forward, and it's just another turret dive. Viper goes way into the back line. He cleans this up for an eventual quadra.
This is a pretty awesome composition right here on the side of Griffin, and it's mainly just about the way that they're able to dance around this turret, dance around that aggro. This has been a masterclass right now in how to manage that.
And then they have 5 dragons again and a Baron. They would take down all 3 inhibs, and Gen.G actually does a very solid job defending here, and they're just barely holding on. That's low health bars onto Griffin. They go in for the engage. Cuvee flashes in on that Vladimir, and it's actually pretty solid. Tarzan goes down. They're getting a bunch of kills, but Mark, the minions. Look at all those super minions with Baron buff.
Yeah, it's just one of those situations there where, look, you know what? You gotta give credit. Gen.G kind of thought of this as, this is the moment where we gotta make our stand here, gotta make a fight, and they did, and they were doing well at it. But the problem is a little bit of a miscalculation. It was already too late, given the state of the minions and the Baron power in there. Too much, too little time.
10 and 5 now for Griffin. Gen.G drops to 10 and 6, which means Griffin is in 4th. MVP went to Chovy for that game 1 and Tarzan in game 3. And we got to look at Rich in that mid lane for Gen.G. If you're not familiar with his story, he was hands down the best player in Heroes of the Storm. You remember that game? Yeah, it actually had a competitive scene, and he was the very best. He used to try and be a league pro. He tried to get on a SKT way back in 2013, 2014. Eventually went to Heroes of the Storm. He's been on Gen.G's academy team. This was his debut, and it wasn't bad.
It certainly was not bad. I liked what I did see from Rich. I think that judging him too harshly based on the beginning of that Aatrox matchup is not something that you can be doing whatsoever. But given that, yes, he's able to stick in the game, stay with his teammates, fall around the play, and actually contribute later into that game, for me, is a very strong sign of the potential that he can have with this squad here. I think that this is going to be interesting watching Gen.G moving forward, because we know Fly has been a very big part of them turning it around here this split.
He got manhandled in game 1 by
And then that is a big problem there as well. So being able to swap in Rich and seeing that, hey, we do have a pretty solid option here should make you feel relatively positive, even in a loss, as a Gen.G fan.
We'll see who they decide to go with in the mid lane going forward, but either way, the playoff race is continuing to heat up in the LCK. Coming up after the break, the first match of the day was Sandbox versus Afrika, and both these guys are in the very thick of that playoff race. Beautiful people from all around the world, welcome back to League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys, continuing some LCK highlights. The first matchup of the day, also heavy playoff implications. Sandbox versus the Africa Freaks, and Sandbox came in with 10 wins in this one, Africa with 9, and again, 11 wins, you should be safe for making playoffs, but who knows with how crazy this race is.
Hey, you can't guarantee it right now with the way that the rest of these teams are here, just lined up, ready to go here and get that spot for the playoffs here. You can't be relying on just the 11 wins. Should have felt safe in almost any other year. I think this year, not going to be enough.
You might even need that magic number 12. But game one between these guys was, again, I mean, these two, surprisingly enough, Africa has barely made any roster changes this split, and the same goes for Sandbox. You got a LeBlanc versus a Talia matchup, which is very interesting, of course, and then On Fleek standing on a ward early on. I'm just going to recall, guys. The worst part is he burns. Oh, no, he doesn't burn the flash. He just EQs over. So, first blood goes over to a freak.
Yeah, that's a smart moment. Thank God he didn't burn any extra summoners there at that point, because you knew that, hey, that is game over at that point. And that is
Keen.
That's game over in the top side, because that's Keen getting an advantage. And I'm not going to give you any spoilers into how the rest of this match one goes, but I'll tell you what, Keen getting an advantage, that's pretty much a GG.
Yeah, Dread, that was a clean Lee Sin kick into the queue. They're going to take down Ghost as well because of the aiming Kaisa ulti. So 2 kills go over to Africa, and that's 2 Infernals and a Mountain. Basically the dream when it comes to Dragons. And this game's
that's just
out of control.
This is a wonderful play in the top side. Just see a couple of low health bars, and you're like, yeah, but aiming's health bar is also low. And then you go, wait a minute, it's aiming. Of course he's going to go in.
The greed. There were 10 seconds left on Kaisa respawning, and Africa has the time to wait. This was almost a perfect game. A couple of kills go over to Sandbox. This got out of hand super quickly. 25 minutes, game 1 win.
Oh, this was a phenomenal performance here by the Africa Freaks. Big time spanking coming down here from a lot of their players. They're playing well. You had Keen, Yukal, Dread, and Aiming all firing on all cylinders in that first match.
But in game 2, we get the pocket pick for Ghost. It is the Draven in the bottom lane, and possibly the worst thing you can do in that early game is get completely destroyed in a 3v3. Eventually the Nautilus goes down. That's an early cash-in and an earlier Bloodthirster.
Oh my goodness, that is just disgusting. This is the Draven of your nightmares that you have to play against here, because he is just going to be such an obnoxious bully here with that damage coming through.
Ooh, he can't flash over the Emperor's Divide though, and Yukal gets a trade back, but it's still a bunch of kills going over to Sandbox. They're probably going to call Worth on that one, and then they just corral in all of Africa, put them in a little box, and it's just cleanup duty from there.
Oh yeah, lots of damage coming through, lots of those axes dishing out there. And hey, doesn't matter that the rest of this Africa Freak squad is trying their best here, trying to utilize some of their skills here, but it doesn't matter because all that damage, it's just way too much.
Yeah, Dove on the Akali just cleaning up everybody. They're even nice enough to leave 1 kill on the end for Ghost, so we can get a whole lot more money, get his perfect TFT build going with the Bloodthirster rapid fire. They get a kill on Thresh from Yukal, but you forgot about the Baron, ladies and gentlemen. The Azir ulti being used on the Thresh, I'm gonna say not worth.
Yeah, that's certainly one of those situations where you're feeling like, yeah, I've got this skill, I can use it, and then you use it and you're like, wait a minute, that probably was not my best utilization there.
Got the kill though.
Got the kill, but hey, that's not the target that you were hoping for in that situation.
And then a fight in Africa's base. Draven has 0 pressure on him, which means, oh my god, he gets to 2-shot everybody. That is a quadra kill. They want the penta, but aiming, boo, no fun, hanging out in the fountain with a GA. Unfortunately, they don't get it, but they do get the game win.
I know I boo it here, but I think at home that's exactly how
I would be doing the exact same thing.
I'm not giving you a pentakill.
I'd be hovering even further back in the fountain.
I'd be at the back of the fountain.
Spamming
just
recall.
Spamming an alt chat right away. That's the idea.
Come get it, and then you get the penta. That's the dream. We're going to game 3 here. Sandbox has an Infernal and a long wait in the bush. And it's Senin with the Leona, and aiming goes in. Doesn't get the kill. It's actually Dread on the Gragas, who was all over the place early for good and bad.
Yeah. Hey, you got to take some good, some with the bad here sometimes going on, and this is certainly one of those situations.
He's not landing any of these body slams.
He's not landing them, but hey, man, that's still coming through as a kill onto his side. I'll take it no matter what.
Even when he goes a little bit too far in the river and walks face first into a Sejuani ulti, he does actually survive for a pretty long time. Aiming does grab a cleanup. Oh my god, Dread is actually a genius. He baited all of Sandbox into that one. It ends up being 3 kills, and this game looks great for Afrika until they absolutely lose their minds. Dread, why are you going for this turret dive?
Holy cow.
That is deep.
That is one of those plays where you are trying to really extend your pressure here on the map, and you get a quick shutdown reminder of, no. You're not that far ahead, guys. You can't be doing that yet. And hey, Sandbox absolutely says,
They run right to the Baron.
No, not happening, guys.
2 dead in a 5v3. They go right to the Baron. Aiming survives. Senin goes down. Keen TP's in, but there's 5 members still alive for Sandbox. They grab a couple of kills, and they grab the Baron. That dive completely threw the game, and then it's Afrika trying a kind of desperation Baron a little bit later on, but now they're the ones who are down almost 5k golds, which means it's a lot harder to win a team fight.
Oh man, even that first Baron, you just feel bad for Keen because you know he's teleporting in, and I tell you what, as a Xayah player, you love it because you see that teleport coming in and you're like, wait a minute, I've got all my feathers just spread out on the ground, root you up as soon as you get here, no problems. That's what goes on, and then hey, tried to get that Baron, not happening, not on Sandbox's watch. Sandbox complete the reverse here and get the victory over the Afrika Freaks.
Afrika did everything right. They had a great early game. They looked so poised to win that game. One dive, they throw it, the Baron goes the way of Sandbox, and it's game over from there. I mean, that was a very interesting series. Sandbox did look, they looked behind in that third game. That wasn't particularly confident instilling for either of those squads.
No, this is certainly not a performance or a match that you're really going to be looking at these two squads and going, yes, even though they are playoff level teams, this is not the type of performances, not the type of things that we want to be instilling into our minds and our performances moving further into this playoff race.
And now, speaking of that playoff race, the standings now after that game, Sandbox jumps into second place. They have the exact same record and game score as Damwon. They're actually in second, not tied for first, because Damwon has that 2-0 head-to-head, so they're still sitting pretty. SKT are right behind them. They play Hanwha this week. That's their only match. You got to expect they should win that one, and they actually have the best game score. Griffin 10-5, Gen.G 10-6, and it gets tough now for Afrika and Kingzone, both at 9-7. And quick note here, SKT has to play Sandbox and Damwon still.
Oh yeah, that is gonna be fun because hey, as you said, we got the Hanwha Life Showdown for SKT this week lined up here. That is gonna be their only performance in the LCK.
Week 10 spicy though.
But exactly, you're getting geared up, you're throwing in Damwon and Sandbox towards the end, and hey, we already seen where they are in the standings. This is gonna be that epic photo finish that you've been waiting for in the LCK.
So week 10, SKT gets Damwon and Sandbox. Griffin gets Jin Air and Hanwha Life for week 10.
Feels great.
Either way, SKT can climb higher if they're taking on those two, but Griffin, you got to expect they get those wins there. They also play Kingzone. So Griffin, SKT, Sandbox, and Damwon all looking pretty solid for making playoffs here. But there's still 7 teams that are very much in contention for playoffs in Korea.